Hi, you guys. This is Mrs. Taylor. Welcome to week 5. This week we are going to learn about changing fractions to decimals and decimals to fractions. So let's start off by talking about how to change a fraction to a decimal. And you can follow along on your page 16 in your workbook. So we're going to take a look at the fraction 3/8. 3/8. And a fraction is a division problem. This actually can be read as 3 divided by 8. So we're going to set it up as a division problem. 8 is going to go on the outside. 3 is going to go on the inside with a decimal to follow it. So it's numerator divided by denominator. Okay, put your decimal up in the quotient area. 8 goes into 3 0 times. 8 goes into 30 3 times. 3 times 8 is 24. Subtract. 30 minus 24, 6. Bring down the 0. 8 goes into 60 7 times. 7 times 8 is 56. Subtract. 60 minus 56 is 4. Bring down a 0. 8 goes into 40 5 times. 8 times 5 is 40, and we are finished dividing. So 3/8 is equivalent to the decimal 375 thousandths. They are equal amounts. Another way to change a fraction to a decimal is a little bit easier, but you have to be really alert to what you're doing. One of them is to take a fraction such as 2/5. You could divide 2 divided by 5, or you can notice that the 5 is a friendly decimal number. What I mean by that are numbers that are like tenths, hundredths, or thousandths. So we can change this 5 to a 10 rather easily by multiplying it times 2. So you'd multiply the numerator times 2 as well and get 4 tenths. 4 tenths as a decimal looks like 0.4. Much easier, a lot less work than having to divide. But sometimes dividing is your only option. So let's look at just a couple of more practice problems so you can get a hang of it. Once again, we are still on page 16 in your workbook that you can follow along with me. We're going to take the fraction 17/20. And I can look at this and think, well, do I need to divide 17 divided by 20 or not? And I look at the denominator. 20 is a friendly number that can easily be moved to 100 by multiplying it times 5. Why do I want that? Well, I know that my decimal numbers are tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So this one's very easy to turn into the 100. So we're going to multiply the 17 times 5 as well. 17 times 5 is 85. So our numerator is 85 hundredths. Sorry about that. 85 hundredths is the decimal 0.085. The fraction 17/20 is equivalent to the decimal 85 hundredths. We did that by getting the denominator 100. Let's look at another one where we have to divide. When we're looking at dividing, we have to really be careful about keeping our numbers in the right columns, because if we get that off, then we really get our decimal in the wrong place. Okay, so let's look at one that we're going to divide. If we take the fraction, let's do 1/6. So 6 cannot be turned into a 10 or a 100 or a 1,000. So we have to divide here. So So I'm going to set it up where we have 1, the numerator, divided by 6, the denominator. We're going to put some zeros after that decimal. It's really important that you place your decimal after the 1 and put it up in the quotient so you don't forget it. The next thing, you're going to divide. 1 divided by 6. How many times can 6 go into 1? Well, it can't, so we have to put a 0 there. Now we're putting 6 into 10. How many times can 6 go into 10? 1 time. 1 times 6. Make sure you line up the 6 with that 0. 10 minus 6 is 4. I'm going to bring down the next 0. 6 goes into 40 6 times. 6 times 6 is 36. I'm going to subtract 40 minus 36 and get a 4. Bring down the 0. We're going to notice that this is going to continue this pattern of getting 36 every time. It'll never end. So we can stop dividing and just put a line over the 6 to show that that's a repeating decimal. 1/6 is equivalent to the decimal 0.16 with a line over the 6 to show that it is repeating. Okay, so right now you have learned how to change a fraction to a decimal. Well, what if you have to go the other way, changing a decimal back to a fraction? You're going to like that because it's super easy. So let's take a look at a decimal. The decimal number is 0.72. Well, I read that as 72 hundredths. 72 hundredths. Super easy. And we can simplify this by dividing it by 4. 72 divided by 4 is 18. 100 divided by 4 is 25. So the fraction 18/25 is equivalent to the decimal 72 hundredths. And that's going to be it for how to change a fraction to a decimal and a decimal to a fraction.